Well, greetings, Cap fans. Welcome to episode 238 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans podcast. I'm Rick Verbanis. I'm your host, and I got a co host. His name is Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob, there is no hunting like the hunting of man. And those who have hunted armed men long enough and liked it never care for anything else thereafter.
Wow, that's profound. Is that a Hemingway? What is that?
Bing, bing, bing. Yeah.
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 That was attributed to Ernest Hemingway.
Wow.
Yeah. Bob, why am I coming to you with an Ernest Hemingway quote?
Well, we Ernest was a hunter himself, and so I think we're going to be. I know we're going to be talking about one of the greatest, if not the greatest, hunter in the Marvel universe this evening. So,
Elmer Fudd?
and more fun. That'd be a great crossover.
Yeah. In DC Comics, they did a Looney Tunes crossover with the DC
Yeah.
characters. And so oh my gosh, there is a serious comic of Batman crossing over with Elmer Fudd.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I got to check that out.
I definitely check that out. And then there's like I don't know. I'm gonna get these wrong, but Daffy Duck with somebody, Bugs Bunny with somebody. I think Scooby Doo and the Mystery
Yeah,
Machine
right.
crew. They were.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, how
yeah.
fun. You know, the oh gosh, I just blanked out for a second. I was thinking about let's see, Elmer Fudd. Oh, I know. You know how is it Winnie the Pooh? That
Oh, bother.
right, the was it the trademark was up or the copyright was up, and so they had that horrible horror movie, right, where
Ah,
Winnie the Pooh
yeah,
goes like, is like a murderous bear. I would love to see something very serious with Elmer Fudd.
Oh, yeah. That'd be very quite the hunter. Yeah,
Yeah, quite the hunter. So
yeah.
no mercy.
Yeah,
So
maybe he's hunting the rabbit from Quest for the Holy Grail, Monty Python.
there you go. Right. Yeah, that's quite a matchup.
uh, I'm gonna get that rabbit. Yeah. We're gonna be covering today Captain America 697, which does feature Kraven the Hunter. Did you see Kraven the movie?
I haven't seen it yet. I've seen the trailer. I mean, I like the trailer. I got to be honest. I know some of those Sony films get a little bit of a poor reception.
Right, right.
I haven't seen a lot of them. In fact, I've seen none of them other than, of course, the Spider-Man movies. And I think I saw the first Venom, but the trailer for Craven looked pretty good. I think I'd like to check it out.
Yeah, it's gotten not great reviews, but the trailer did look good,
Mhm.
and I like the actor,
Yeah,
from Kick Ass.
right.
He's supposed to be up for the next James Bond.
I've heard that. I've heard that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, he was pretty good as Quicksilver, right? So
I didn't see that coming.
nice, nice.
Speaking of movies, next episode we are going to be, Bob. Remember when we did the movie review for Brave New World? We did it live on YouTube.
I do remember now that you reminded me a mere 10 minutes ago. But yes, it was a great experience, actually. It was our first time doing a live show like that.
Well, our second time is next week. We're going to do a live movie review of Thunderbolts because that comes out May 2nd. So, May 4th, Sunday at 4 p.m., we are going to do a live review on our YouTube channel, and we'll have a guest or two maybe to come on the show and give our thoughts on the movie. So next episode, make sure you come back. If you don't want spoilers, go see the movie and
Mm-hmm.
then come back and listen, or better yet, watch us live on YouTube.
Yeah. And give us some feedback along the way.
That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
the we had a chat, live chat going, and people were throwing out their questions, giving their feedback. There might have been uh, a slam or two going my way, but overall, it was. I think we had a lot of fun.
All in love. Yeah, all in love.
It was all love.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Our Cap fans, there's not a bad one out there.
Not one bad one in the bunch.
Yeah. Um, we just finished the Cap Madness bracket. Now, if you're listening to this on the day this comes out, it's April 30th. We are recording this like 3 weeks before. So we have no idea who won.
But we're
But
shocked nonetheless.
uh, I don't know.
No,
I
probably
picked it.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had this all along. But what we're not surprised or dumbfounded or even a little bit confused over is how much fun we had. It was great having everybody, vote and give their comments, and it was a lot of fun. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
I do too. I think most folks are. I say most folks because we do check that every day. We looked at the comments. We see what people are saying. People seem to be having a good time. They're enjoying the conversation. They're enjoying the debate that goes along with that. Oh no, this person, that person, and I think folks enjoy being engaged, right? Having their opinions asked, being able to talk about why they feel a certain way, and in a respectful environment where everybody's opinion counts, literally.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, you can go to our Facebook page, which is Cap Comic Fans, and just look that up and answer a few questions, and you can join the best gosh darn community out there. No stress, no negativity, just a bunch of Cap fans sharing what they love. So make sure you check that out.
It's been the group's been pretty active lately, Rick. I think how many members are we up to now?
I don't know, like 5,200 or something.
5,200. Man, that's amazing. A lot of folks I think joined us in the last year, and you can tell just in the variety of posts that we've been getting lately. Something new every day, right? Something new for folks to enjoy, learn a little bit more about Cap.
We also have some really good patrons of the show, people who go that little extra mile. Uh, without them, it'd be really challenging for us to do the show, to cover our expenses and everything. So we're up to 29 paid patrons, Bob, paid members. And so we appreciate every one of you 29. There's 10 super soldiers and 19 shield slingers. And what's a super soldier? What's a shield slinger? Well, you can learn more by going to buymeacoffee.com/cap comic fans and learn more about what those levels are. The super soldier level is sold out, and there's cool perks for both of them, but you can still get in at Shield Slinger, which is $5 a month. Bob, that's like the price of one comic. So if you feel that the 4 or 5 episodes that we provide on a monthly basis is worth the price of a comic, then you know what? We'd appreciate you signing up. Again, you can go to the website for more information. And we do have, over the last few weeks, 2 more people signed up. So we have Gino Ames. Now, that name should be familiar in
Sure,
our
yeah.
Facebook group. He's pretty active. And he wrote, "Love the show and the Facebook group for all things Cap. Well done."
Nice.
So he signed up as a shield slinger. And then Kev Spillane also signed up, and he says, "Love the channel and the Facebook group." So thank you, Gino. Thank you, Kev. We really do appreciate the support.
It's the best way to double your fun. Can I use that? Is that a trademark advertising line from the 1980s?
Something like that. But I mean, I could think of other ways to double my fun, but sure, we'll go with this one.
All right, great.
Yeah.
It's a family show.
Exactly. So, Bob, should we get to today's comic? Because
Yeah.
I've been meaning to do this in a long time.
Meaning to do this particular comic?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. It's a fun comic. So yeah, definitely we should jump right in.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get to this Mark Waid run. Like
Uh-huh.
we've done other Mark Waid comics, right? We did the first some stories from the first time he joined, which was like the Man Without a Country, right? And
Yep.
we did some from his run on the Captain America Volume 3.
Yep.
We did some from Captain America Sentinel of Liberty,
Sure.
and we did the miniseries Captain America Man Out of Time,
Right. Yeah.
right? But what we haven't done is this and his final um, uh, Captain America's
Right.
run, which was coming back with this new legacy numbering that he did. And if you want to check out, we had an amazing conversation with Mark Waid on the show way back in episode 78, which came out, I guess, 3 years ago. And that's where Mark said that in today's political climate, he just can't see himself doing any more Captain America stories. And he gets into a lot of different things that if you haven't listened to it, check that out, episode 78.
He was very frank about his feelings about the character, but also about working for Marvel and about why he's hesitant, or I shouldn't even say hesitant. He is absolutely adamant that he's not going to do Captain America again. Well, we can always hope it'll change, though, right?
Fingers crossed.
Right.
So yeah, I've been meaning to come back and do this. So um, this story it takes place in the beginning of 2018, but in 2017 was they right after the Steve Rogers Captain America series, otherwise known as Hydra Cap, um, and the whole Secret Empire story. Uh, they relaunched a lot of Marvel series, and they decided to go back to legacy numbering for a little bit and have new creative teams, and it was a big deal with Marvel at the time, and they were marketing it and really pushing it, and they had a legacy one shot that Joe Quesada did a really cool cover on, featuring Cap, front and center. And so that was kind of why they decided to bring Mark Waid back, because they knew Mark Waid understood the character Steve Rogers. And there was a lot of negativity towards Marvel at the time because a lot of people were upset that you would tarnish the character of Steve Rogers by turning him into a Hydra agent. And listen, I'm not going to get into the story and the background and everything. It was a lot more to it than just that. But a lot of Cap fans, a lot of Marvel fans were really upset. And so, what better way to kind of start over with a breath of fresh air than Mark Waid, who had done it a few times
Yeah.
for Captain America, right?
Yeah.
He took over after Mark Grunwald, after his 10-year run. Mark Waid came in, and it was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Then they did Volume 2, which was the whole Heroes Reborn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the Rob Liefeld series,
Right.
and then um, they said, okay, well, that's over. Mark, can you come back? Because
Yeah.
we need a breath of fresh air again
Yeah.
by kicking off volume 3. So, who better to do it than him?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting the way that you sort of provided the context for this brief, Waid run. Uh, it's interesting, right? Because yeah, you're right. There were a lot of folks upset about that whole story arc and how that turned out, how they treated Cap. It's interesting to me that it wasn't just Cap fans that may have been upset, right? It was people that don't normally even buy Cap comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a certain affinity for the character. I think there's a number of characters in the Marvel universe that don't mess with sort of, feeling toward them. Even if I don't buy the books or read the stories, they still sort of put this character up there. And so, yeah, this is an overture to the broader Marvel audience, I think is really an important context to provide. So well done.
Yeah, when they relaunched it with legacy numbering at 695, and it it only lasted, I think, till issue 704.
Mhm.
704 was as long as it, so it wasn't very long, his run.
No, you're right. Yeah. So just enough to like kickstart the character again and then turn the reins over once again. We didn't talk about that with him, did we? I don't recall that having that conversation about this run and how this run ended, if that was intentional or from planned from the get-go that this would end around 704, 705, or if they just wanted to go in a different direction.
I do recall talking with him about it. We touched on every bit of Captain America stories that he did, just to kind of get the full spectrum there. So I do remember talking about
Hmm.
it and why he was brought on board. But yeah, it was only 10 issues. So um, perhaps, one day maybe somebody will look back on the Mark Waid, Chris Samnee 10 issues the same way people look at Roger Stern and John Burns 9 issues.
Right. Yeah.
Who knows?
Who
Who
knows?
knows? 30, 40 years from now.
Yeah.
So let's get to the uh, the the solicitation for this 697. Do you want to hear the solicitation, Bob?
I do, Rick.
Home of the Brave, Part 3. Kraven the Hunter has a new target, and it's Steve Rogers. Trapped in unfamiliar territory, stripped of his shield, and on the run, Cap must find a way to evade Kraven long enough to save an innocent life. But this time, that might be impossible. And just wait until you see the final page. And so this had a cover date of March 2018, but it was released January 3rd of that year. And the creative team, as I mentioned, Mark Waid and Chris Samnee. Chris Samnee also, in addition to penciling, inked it as well. And the colorist was Matthew Wilson, letterer Joe Caramagna, editor Alana Smith, and Tom Brevoort. How about that? We've had Mark Waid, Joe Caramagna, Alana Smith, and Tom Brevoort. We've had all four of them on the
All
show.
four on the show. Yeah.
I have been after Chris Samnee for years.
Yeah. That would be great.
I've been after him.
Mhm.
Bob, do you want to take people through this Chris Samnee cover?
Yeah, it's a great cover, Rick. It's a little shocking, actually, right? Because we see front and center, we see Kraven from the waist up, and he's got his arms crossed with his characteristic fur collar for his vest puffed up around his head. And he's got a very, shall I say, sardonic look on his face. So he's grinning a little bit at the camera or at the reader, with just a little bit of an upturn to the left side of his smile. So he's quite pleased with himself, and no doubt because he's in a room that we see to be mostly in shadows, except with a little bit of light playing upon him in the wall behind him. And on that wall behind him, we see the mounted head of none other than Captain America. And when I say mounted, I mean like a trophy kill, like you would see, in any great game hunter's parlor. In this case, though, it's Captain America's mounted stuffed head with his eyes looking, those blue eyes looking out at the reader. And there's a plaque underneath that says Captain America 1922 to 2000, and we can't quite read the last two digits of that death date. And then next to the mounted head of Captain America, we see Cap's shield mounted to the wall as well. So we're left to assume that Kraven the Hunter bagged his biggest kill yet.
Yes, nicely done. Of course, we all know Cap's just standing on the other side of the wall with his head poking through, right? So
That's right, one of those photo things that you put your head through.
yeah. And it has a trade dress at the top where it says Marvel Legacy. So they were really putting the legacy at the top everywhere just to kind of get everybody understanding that, hey, this is a new kickoff portion, and it says "Home of the Brave," which this is part three, as I mentioned before, and then Bob, there's a little corner art. I love corner art. I miss corner art. Do you miss
Mhm.
corner art?
I love I mean, it does jump out at you, right? It lets you know what book you're picking up, regardless of who's on the cover. You know whose title it is.
Yeah, and it's just the head of Captain America. I want to say that the art was done by Mike McCone.
Mm.
Don't quote me on that, but I think Mike McCone did that corner art. Um, and if anybody is not familiar with the corner art, so if you go to our Facebook group, which again, it's Cap Comic Book Fans. Just go on Facebook, look it up, um, and you go to our image that we have that represents the group, and you click on that image. You can see. I put this together when we formed this group. I don't know, 5 years ago. Um, that hey, Bob, April was our 5 year anniversary of the Facebook group.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, I think that's 5 years I've known you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Wow. Time does
Yeah,
fly. You
it
look
really
great.
does. Thanks, you do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
What's your secret?
podcasts, man. It's living the celebrity life.
uh,
That corner art is the cover to 695, if I'm not mistaken.
well, it's on 695. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, anyway, so if you go to our Facebook group and you click on that image, you can see all the different corner arts throughout the years that I put in there just to kind of represent, number one, this is definitely a group about the comic books, not the MCU, because there are so many Captain America MCU groups out there. When I formed this, this was the only one devoted to comics. And then, and also it has not only each of the ones, but it has the cover price. You can see 12 cents, 20 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents, 60 cents, and so on. And yeah, the very last one that I have on here is from 695, which is again I think it's Mike McCone. So anyway, I love corner artwork, obviously.
I can tell.
All right, I guess I'll grab my comic off the spinner rack. Um, and I haven't read this issue since came out. So it was fun coming back to this issue because it is a cool one one issue story. And um, the funny thing about Kraven the Hunter, let me get back let me get into that. So I did a little research on Kraven the Hunter and I found it interesting. So Kraven first appeared back in 1964 in Amazing Spider-Man 15. Then a couple months later, he made an appearance in Tales of Suspense 58. Does that ring a bell to you, Bob?
It doesn't actually. No. Refresh my memory.
Well, do you know what happens in Tales of Suspense 58?
I have no recollection.
Well, that is the first um, appearance of Captain America in Tales of Suspense. So that's what kicks off his story run from 58 to
Hmm.
99 in Tales of Suspense. So
Okay.
58, whereas 59 and on was like one Iron Man story and one Captain America story.
Right.
This is a one complete story that basically Captain America versus Iron Man. If you
Yep. All
remember that
right.
on the
It's
cover.
ringing a bell now.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
So we covered that way back in
Yeah.
episode 36. We did that panel by panel. And if you recall, Kraven the Hunter was in it.
That's right. He went.
And
Did he go after Iron Man? Right.
Yes. But Iron Man defeated him
Hmm.
and dragged him away. So we never saw Kraven with Captain America. That never made it that far. And so here we are, and we're like, well, wait a minute. Well, Captain America should have met Kraven at some point, right? I mean, 20, 30 years have passed. And I'm looking at it, and Kraven was in Secret Wars 2, number 7.
Hmm.
Cap wasn't in that one.
Hmm.
He didn't really appear in any Avengers stories, so he didn't meet Cap there. Then we fast forward to a new Avengers story that took place in 2011, written by Brian Michael Bendis, and then they decided to create this something called Avengers 1959.
Right. Yeah, that's a
Right.
a good little series.
Right. So Craven was that, but guess
Yeah.
what? Who wasn't? Captain America.
Yeah. He's
And
busy.
then in Captain America Sam Wilson in
Hmm.
2015, issues 1 and 8, I want to say,
Yep.
Craven was in there, but it wasn't Steve Rogers.
Yep.
And then that brings us to this issue.
Yeah.
The first time a character, Craven the Hunter, who had been around since 1964, the first time meeting Captain America. And this was like 50 years later.
It's crazy, isn't it? If you think about it, right? Because he has been around, but just not in this part of this corner of the 616, apparently.
Yeah. Well, which I think was really cool for Mark Waid to like, who hasn't Cap fought? I know. And
Right.
he pulls this character.
Yeah.
So we open it up, and the first page is a credits page. And I'm going to go ahead and read the top, and then I'm going to read the recap. 1940. As the world teetered on the brink of global war, frail Steve Rogers entered a secret laboratory and was transformed into the American super soldier. For 5 thrilling years, he fought the Axis powers until a freak stroke of fate threw him into suspended animation. When he awoke, he was a man decades out of his time. Since that fateful day, Steve Rogers has sought his destiny in this brave new world. And then the recap is an evil version of Captain America led the world to the brink of destruction. The original Captain America returned in time to stop him, but the dark legacy of the secret empire lingers on, a truth felt by no one more than Steve Rogers himself. Can Steve find his place in a world that has been made to fear Captain America? And that is why Mark Waid was brought in.
And what does Steve always do when he needs to, you know, put his finger on the pulse of America?
Find himself, find America.
Get
Gets
on a
on his
motorcycle.
motorcycle.
There you go. Gets on his motorcycle and travels the blue highways.
Yes, he does. All right, so we open it up, and the first page in this story, we see a bar, and we see a civilian Captain America, Steve Rogers. He's just wearing a t-shirt and some jeans, wearing a hat, and keeping the hat tight over his eyes, give it a little shade. And he's in the back of the bar where their pool table is, and there's a light hanging. And in the foreground, we see a dartboard. And Bob, what do you notice on the dartboard?
I noticed that there are 3 darts in the outer circles, but there are 4 or 5 darts right in the bullseye.
Yeah, there's 4 darts in the bullseye, and like the fifth one is like just outside of it,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which leads you to believe that Steve Rogers was playing darts. He got 4 bullseyes, and the other person got the other ones.
Right. Yeah.
And so there's a woman standing over the table, or leaning up, against the table, and she's got a pool cue. Steve's got a pool cue. And how would you describe this lady, Bob?
Well, she is. She's wearing a. It looks to be from this first page anyway, and maybe a lavender or a light purple mini skirt with a matching jacket.
That's not a
That
miniskirt. She's wearing jeans, low
is
rider
she.
jeans. Yeah.
All right, I can't. I got my readers on, but it's a matching jacket and jeans, and it's a light purple, like a sort of a light lavender, and it's got a. It exposes her midriff, her stomach area, and she's got a halter shirt on under the jacket. But the interesting thing is, it's got a fur collar on her jacket that looks to be like a leopard print or a jaguar print.
Mm.
And she's wearing a baseball cap as well with her ponytail pulled through the back.
She is not wearing a baseball cap.
She's not, oh, I'm sorry. It looks like a baseball cap.
Nah, she's got. That's just how
That's
her hair's
that's
cut.
just a bun.
Yep. All right, stranger. Got to make every last shot to win. Impress me, cowboy. And Steve's, he's got a. Looks like he's got a beer bottle in his hand.
Probably a
Uh,
pop.
I don't know. It's a green bottle.
Hmm.
How many green bottles do you know to make pop?
Ginger ale.
No.
All right, worth a
Glass
shot.
bottle? Yeah, no. And so he leans over, looks at the cue, aims it up, and then he has a little thought in his head of how he just throws his shield around and just ricochet, 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 hitting all the different things, and he gets a little grin on his face. And then the next thing you know, he hits the cue and he knocks in all of the balls, and he knocks them all in with just one shot. And she comes up and she presses her hand on his big, massive biceps. Oh my, you certainly know what to do with your stick. What do they call you, cowboy? Steve. What do they call you? Bait. And then you notice underneath her ring, there was a little like like a fang, like
Mm-hmm.
a sticking out of the ring, and she scratched his arm, and he looks down, and he looks surprised, and he sees a little blood dripping, and then he falls.
Oh my, that was some quick acting poison.
Next page, coming out of the darkness, it's Captain America in his uniform, and he's got some sort of huge metal collar around his neck, and he's still got like little, you know, little designs going around his head to show that he's still coming to.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear a voice off panel. Good afternoon, Mr. Rogers. Sleep well. And Steve looks up, and who is it, Bob?
Oh my gosh, we see Kraven in all his glory standing at the top of a stair landing, looking down on Cap. And Kraven is surrounded by stuffed trophy heads affixed to the wall all around him.
Can you describe some of the heads?
Well, some of them are clearly alien in origin. I can't recognize them, but they're not from this planet. And then some of them are. We see what looks to be a stuffed fox. But on the opposing wall, we actually see a number of what appear to be human heads, or certainly humanoid heads. So he's not a particularly discriminate hunter, right? He goes where the trophies are and looks for the most challenging.
Yep. So Cap doesn't hesitate. He runs towards Craven, but then all of a sudden there's like electrical current with the device around his neck, which immobilizes him. Next page. The collar keeps you at a safe distance. I pride myself on preparation. You're Craven the Hunter. Spider-Man has mentioned you. Then he's surely told you that my one true passion is the pursuit of dangerous game. You are the world's most perfect physical specimen. Therefore, you present the ultimate challenge. And he's looking at his fingernails, right? To signify that he's not impressed nor scared.
Right.
In a moment, I will be pursuing you through the jungle below. If you make it to the coast, you will gain your shield and your freedom. Cut it. We know how this plays out, Kraven. I'm not interested in your games. You've already lost. In order to be prey, an animal has to know fear, and I am in no way afraid of you. Would that every man had your courage. And then he reaches on the wall and he clicks a little intercom, and we hear a voice. Help! Help me! Oh God, somebody help me! Whoever you are, please don't do this. I don't want to die. And Cap looks out the window to see this skinny white 30 something male.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's bleeding at the arm. Who is that? Does it matter? Cap looks at him, and then next thing you know, he's jumping out of the window into the jungle. On the next page, we see this man roaming through the jungle, fearing, and then he turns and what does he see, Bob?
The jaguar.
I'm not good at this.
Mm.
Jaguar, leopard,
Mm.
cheetah. How can you tell the difference?
Well, the spots on jaguars are different than leopards,
Well, I
but
know they're different, but who's who?
jaguars are much larger. So jaguars are South American, and they are much bigger. And whereas most African cats will kill you with a nut bite, a jaguar goes for a skull bite. So it's got long protruding, it's weird to call them canines, but they're, long incisors, and they actually puncture the brain case and will crush your skull. So yeah, very unique among cat species in that way. But they're bigger, so much more dangerous. A jaguar could take down a leopard with very little problem. And then cheetahs are even smaller. They're big, but they're lean and not particularly aggressive.
Bob,
Yeah.
how do you know all this?
Rick, I like to do my research, man. You know me. Come on. Cheese and crackers, man.
Did you really just look this up for this, or you knew
I
this ahead of
did. I
time?
did. I looked it up to prepare for this show, buddy, because I knew this question would come up.
So here's the difference between you and me, right? Because what you do in your role, in your job, right?
Yes.
You were
Right.
involved in nature. You're outside. You were in some
Yeah.
dangerous things. I consider dangerous because
Mm-hmm.
you got alligators and snakes and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
you were interested in that, whereas
Mm.
I was interested in did Cap and Craven ever meet?
Mm-hmm. No, I looked that up as well, but I thought the jaguar might come up, and I knew you wouldn't look that up, and so I thought I should be prepared because I feel like I'm here for the color commentary, man.
Ah, good for you. Next page, Cap is coming in and doing ramming his shoulder into the side of the Jaguar, and they're tussling. The Jaguar gets a swipe in and draws a little blood on Cap. Cap then takes the cat, grabs him by the neck, uh, does a wrestling move by throwing him over his shoulder, and he throws him into a pit. But it's not just any pit, Bob.
No, it's full of punji sticks. So those sharp pointed sticks at the bottom of a pit that will impale you in many different painful ways.
Do you think Cap knew that when he threw him?
I think he did actually. He may not have known there were punji sticks there. I think it was probably a good assumption though. I think he saw the camouflage on the ground and just read the situation that was a trap.
And he decided to take the Jaguar's life.
Well, Jaguar wasn't gonna retreat. So
He wasn't going to talk his way out of this one.
I don't think he was going to talk his way out of this. Yeah. It's a great series of 6 panels though, right? No words. just no sound effects, even just Cap and the Jaguar wrestling, and Cap coming out and prevailing.
Plungy trap. If you'd stepped on that camouflage, you'd have died on bamboo spikes. What's your name, sir? David Cotter. I'm a student, Virginia Tech. I was backpacking across Europe. I went to sleep, and you're Captain America, and where am I? Was someone who learned to navigate a booby-trapped jungle before your grandfather was born. Lesson one: try not to leave a blood spore. And he starts. He tore off a piece of David's shirt to use it to wrap up the bandage his arm. And then we hear a noise in the background, Bob.
Oh,
A wolfhound can smell it from 7 miles out. Let's get you to safety so I'm free to fight. But all of a sudden,
crack!
there was a fire of a rifle that shot right near Cap's head. And Cap ducks and he looks up, and in the distance, we see Kraven the hunter hunting with his rifle aimed at them. Next page, they're walking in ankle deep water. I need you to listen to everything I say and follow my instructions to the letter. Understood? Yes, sir. The trail has narrowed. Never good. Chances are we're being steered towards something. Ah, clever. And he looks up, and what does he see, Bob?
Oh my goodness! There's a number of snakes slithering through the branches above.
And they're big.
They are big snakes.
Cap takes his belt off and uses the belt to whack one of them down. Those snakes were for you, not me. Kraven knew I'd see them. He's far more creative than that. Walk 2 steps back, but walk in my footprints. Let me find any mines or tripwires. Do not deviate. And then we see in the background Kraven swinging by a vine, following them. How are you at rock climbing? Not great. Then give me a second to figure out which one of these can hold our weight. And he's looking at the vines that are hanging down the rocky slope. And this one seems pretty secure, and he pulls on a vine. No, don't! And what happens, Bob?
Oh well, apparently it triggered a trap, which was a bunch of boulders that were positioned up on the hillside, waiting for somebody to pull that vine and release them, careening down the hill toward Cap and Mister Cotter. Mister Cotter.
And Cap pauses for a second. He looks, and then on the next page, he goes up and he wraps his head or hands and arms uh, around his head and neck to protect him, and then the rocks settle. Next thing you know, Cap's punching out of the rocks, and he comes out, and he David then is like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Are you all right? Beginning to feel dehydrated. Climbing's out. We'll have to go around. Hang on. This just got challenging. Just? And as we look down the ravine, there's these ropes that sling back and forth over top of the cavern there. And Cap zooms in on Cap's eye, who is looking at Kraven perched up on the rocks. Should we try swinging through the trees on vines? Tarzan is fiction. Do as precisely as I do. And they start going through the ravine, and they're kind of stepping around and over the ropes. Cap steps on a trigger, and then next thing you know, there's a gigantic boulder that swings down that just smashes in between the two of them. And David looks quite startled.
That does look like he might have he might need to change of underpants there. Yeah.
And Cap just looks back and says, "Don't dawdle." Now, Cap's not exactly being comforting and nice
He's
to David.
not. No, no.
Interesting. Next page, I can hear the ocean up ahead. My God, we're going to make it. Too easy. Stand back. And Cap takes a fairly big rock. I wouldn't call it a boulder, but it's big. And he tosses it into the field. And what happens, Bob?
There is a huge tomb explosion. Potentially a landmine was underground there.
Stay on the path. Kraven's right behind us. I'm sure of it. Cap, I I heard something click. Oh God. Oh dear God. Am I gonna die? Not if you stay stuck still. Don't even twitch. If it didn't blow immediately, that means it's a pressure mine. I know how to defuse it if I can just dig around it. Try to breathe. Try to relax. Close your eyes and concentrate on the sound of the ocean, the feel of the breeze. And as he's digging around, David reaches behind and he pulls out a really small handgun and he points it at Cap's the back of Cap's head as he's, kneeling around digging around him. But Cap grabs the gun very quickly, the smell of gun oil. And then he bashes David and knocks him flying back. I've been wondering since the rock slide when you were going to make your move so I could draw Kraven out. Everything else we came across was a feint. You were the real trap all along. And then there's Kraven, and he's got the rifle um, open, right, so where you can enter
Right.
the
Yeah.
chambers
Right.
with the ammo, and he's got it cocked between his arm, so he could have his hands free to clap, and he's clapping, looking at Captain America. Well played, Captain. No other man I have ever met would still be alive right now. I'm genuinely disappointed that our contest has reached its end. I don't suppose you'll honor the terms of victory. And then we notice that Kraven's got the shield strapped to his back.
Right. Yeah.
You insult me. Kraven the Hunter is a man of his word. The shield I most certainly will return to you. And then he cocks his rifle. Right after you have enjoyed the freedom of blissful unconsciousness. And then he fires, shooting Cap in the shoulder. Cap then falls back over the cliff. Clumsy fool! The contract called for him to be delivered alive. And as he goes to the edge of the cliff to look, Cap grabs him and tosses him over the edge, freeing the shield, catching the shield, but Kraven catches his boot. Hold on. Kraven, you want to live? Turn off the collar. Do it. I'm about 5 seconds away from blacking out, and we'll both fall. Help me. Next page. Kraven still holding on to Cap's boot. Never. And at this point, Cap lets go, and the two of them fall what appears to be 4 or 5 stories into the ocean. But Cap puts his shield down to brace the impact. And then he says, now what? And we turn the page, and oh my goodness, Bob, what do we see?
Well, it appears to be some sort of submersible, a very large submarine of some type that has just surfaced. And by large, I mean gigantic, because Cap floating in the water looks like an ant compared to the size of this behemoth.
It really is. It's could be the size of a helicarrier. It's pretty darn big.
Yeah.
And then coming out, we see I think we see the if you were reading 695, 696, these uniforms of the men look familiar.
Yeah. Rampart.
Kraven failed us. That's all right. We can improvise. And they go up to the top of the sub and they get this giant cannon. I mean, giant cannon. It's like if you remember, like Star Wars: A New Hope, you know, uh, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like the little Death Star cannon thing. Um, they get on there and they fire the cannon, and it's an ice ray, and it's shooting an ice ray at Cap as he's floating in the water. And Cap just yells the biggest no that I've ever seen him yell. Stop. Not this. Not. And the shield can't protect him because the ice ray turns him into, on the next page, a gigantic iceberg.
Oh my goodness,
And
Rick.
then a claw, a big mechanical claw, comes down to take the iceberg out of the water. And it says, next, man out of time.
Holy cow.
Bob, what are your overall impressions of this story?
It's kind of a remarkable story, right? Because not a lot of dialogue, some obviously, but so many panels in this story were just the art telling the story very effectively, I might add. Um, the facial expressions, just even the close up on the eyes of Captain America, for instance, told the story, without the necessity of words. So really a nice, tightly crafted story.
Yeah, I think Chris Samnee doesn't get enough credit as an artist. I know he has his fan following. Like it, whenever he does commissions, like he'll, right around March or April, he'll say, "Here are my, sign up for my commissions for the year," and they sell out within like 2 minutes. So he does like definitely has his fan following, and I was a big fan of his on his Daredevil run.
Mm.
In fact, one year I finally got lucky and got on his commission list, and I got you can get up to 2 characters, and so I loved his Daredevil run. I loved his Captain America run. They're my 2 favorite characters. So of course, I have a pretty cool commission of Captain America and Daredevil together.
Mm.
But yeah, I agree with you. He's a good storyteller, and he has the ability to craft a story, lay out a story, tell a story with just his art. Um, his style is not realistic. It's a little
No,
stylistic. It maybe
sure,
has a
yeah,
little bit of a cartoonish look
right,
to it. Um, but his which is cool. I mean, I like
yeah,
it. I mean, I'm a
yeah,
fan. And but he is a really good storyteller.
yeah. So I enjoyed the story. It was a lot of fun, right? It's nice to see Cap go up against Kraven, even if not directly against Kraven. I know you like a thinking story, right? Not just necessarily always brute force. And this was a psychological fight as much as anything. With Kraven using and Cap, it's a battle of wits more than anything, rather than just brute force.
And listen, I think teenage Rick would have loved this story too, because there's something cool about a house that has all kinds of traps in it, and danger. And then there's, here he is, Captain America without his shield, trying to protect an injured civilian, and he's out there in the elements, and you've got rivers and ravines, you've got snakes and jaguars, you've got bungee pits, you've got um, weapons being fired at him. You've got big boulders swinging at him. Like it checks all the boxes, I think, for that teenage boy or even younger who just is like, oh, that's a cool story.
Yeah, it's adventurous, right? It's a little bit like a video game. Uh,
Yes, Pitfall Harry.
Exactly, right. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Now, did
Uh,
everybody, when I said that, did everybody hear that in their?
right. Yeah. A little bit of Indiana Jones,
Uh-huh.
little bit of Pitfall. So yeah, it's you're right. For a younger person, it's got all those wonderful things, but for those who are more sophisticated, like us, it's got the psychological edge to it as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. All right. Let's
Mm.
get into favorite panel. Actually, I go first.
Hmm.
Where am I? Yes, I go first. You went first last time. So,
Sure, sure.
my favorite panel is on page 4, and it's panel 7, which is the last panel. Speaking of Samnee telling a story without dialogue or sound effects, it's the one where you have Cap, really, really, really tiny version of Cap, jumping out the window into the jungle, and it's not just jumping out. I mean, he leapt like 20 feet, out of the window, and he's probably got another 40 feet to drop. And I love the angle looking up from the jungle into the castle that Cap's busting out of, and you can see he's busting out of it because there's like broken wood, pieces of broken wood trailing behind him,
Yeah,
and he's. I love this panel for so many reasons. Obviously, the angle. So much is being said here in what's to me mostly being said is Cap's leaping out into danger at a without thinking of anything else other than there's somebody who needs his help.
yeah.
And it's a true essence of Steve Rogers. It's a true essence of Captain America, and I just love the way it was stylistically told.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great selection. And those two panels prior to it really, tell a story, right? I mean, Kraven knows who Steve Rogers is, and he's going to use it against him in that intermediary panel where Steve just kind of turns and eyeballs Kraven because he knows what he's going to do. He's going to leap out and he's going to go to that guy's aid, right? He knows he's been manipulated, but he knows he has no other choice because that's who he is.
Oh, is that your favorite panel then, Bob? Is that what you're
It is
going with?
not. It is
No?
not my favorite panel.
Oh, you're just
But I'm
trying to
going to
get some extra here.
Oh yeah, no, I just love how they go together, and I think it was a great selection that you made. I'm just woohoo! Good job, Rick. All right, so but for mine, it's 2 pages later, and it is that top panel with Steve just shoulder checking the Jaguar,
Mm-hmm.
right, and he hit him so hard that there are motion, those sort of radiating lines of motion behind the Jaguar, and the Jaguar's tongue is protruding because he got hit so hard by Steve Rogers' shoulder. I just love this. I love the motion, the flow of the motion, and you can.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did you just say I just love the flow of the motion?
I did in the ocean.
No.
Do you ever have a waterbed, Rick?
I actually used to own a
Yeah,
waterbed in
yeah, me
my
too.
first marriage. Um, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I was a bachelor. I had the waterbed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
King
enjoyed the flow
size?
of and yep, of course.
Yeah, gotta have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Heated. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, gotta have it heated. Oh my god, it'll suck the warmth right out of your body. You
Yeah.
wake up a little
Uh-huh.
yeah. Whew, I enjoy the flow of the
I'm a
motion.
funny story about a waterbed.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I had gotten my my brother gave me his old waterbed because he got something new.
Uh-huh.
And so this is back when I was early, like my first marriage, and we were young, we're mid 20s, not making a whole lot of money, and like, oh yeah, I'll take a free bed, sure. And I remember one night, and my wife at the time and I were laying in bed, and I heard the wood underneath the bed start to crack. And it is a noise that wakes you the
Oh yeah.
up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was that? And you hear the and all of a sudden I'm like, get out of the bed, get out of the bed now. And my wife is like, what? I'm like, get out of the bed. And so she gets out of the bed, and sure enough, you know, the whatever the wood gave out, because it was an older
Yeah.
bed, whatever.
Oh yeah.
So what happens is I then go into the garage. I dismantle the hose, whatever. I take the hose, bring it upstairs, take the sheets off,
Oh
get
my
to the part
gosh.
where the water is, you put the water in. I connect the hose. I take
Yeah.
the hose. I throw it out of the window because
Yeah.
we're on the second floor,
Of course.
and
Yeah.
and so all of a sudden that starts to drain the water out
Right.
because the last thing I want to do is have this break and then there's a puncture and then we have all that water
Yeah.
in there. Well, my wife does?
I don't even know.
Yeah. She goes into the guest bedroom and just goes to sleep.
Oh, the problem's taken care of.
Did I mention this was my first wife?
Yeah, right. Now, was it one of those newfangled water beds with the baffles in it? Or is it
What's a
one of
baffle?
well so when the first water beds came out, it was just a big old bladder,
Yeah.
like a big water bladder, right? And
Yeah.
but later, eventually they started producing them that had sort of baffles in them, so like little walls, sort of like the Titanic, sunk because it didn't have watertight lines, right, to
Oh no,
prevent
no.
one.
This was a big old bladder.
It was a big old bladder. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like when you started a wave on one end, it went all the way to the other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The later ones had baffles that wouldn't happen, right? You get
Ah.
a little motion, right? But like it would stop the wave from like poof, poof,
Mm.
which takes all the fun out of it as far as I'm concerned. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Because one person turns over and the next thing you
Yeah,
know,
you're like,
you're
whoa.
going for a ride. Yeah. Ah.
Oh,
Wow.
that's great.
That's interesting. I never heard of that. Totally was baffled.
Ah, very nice. Very nice.
Where were we?
Woo! I think we're on t-shirt worthy, Rick,
All
and I
right,
believe
that's
it's
you.
my turn.
What's your
Yeah.
T-shirt? What's your
Well,
T-shirt?
I gotta go. I gotta go on the credits page with Cap on that motorcycle.
Seriously?
Seriously, man,
That's the one I would know.
Oh no, that's a shame. You got all the Cap motorcycle shirts. Can I have
I
one?
do. I wanted
Yeah,
another one.
I know. Well, don't be greedy. So definitely got to go with Cap on the
I mean,
motorcycle.
I mean, I really thought that was safe bet because who picks the credit page,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, sorry
I
about
thought
that, my
I
friend.
thought I was safe bet, and you stole that
I can't tell you how sorry I am.
because you're not.
Really, yeah, not at all. What do you have as a backup, though, Rick? I'm
I
sure
don't
you
have a
do.
backup.
Guy like you,
The
Plan
cover. I
B.
think the cover is really interesting. Who else has a shirt with Kraven the Hunter on it? Nobody. That's who. And Kraven the Hunter standing there with this smug look on his face and a Captain America's head on a thing. I think that is a really interesting T-shirt that people would be like, "Huh?
What's
What's
that all
going on?"
about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why does he
And
hate Cap? Yeah.
and then you know what happened? They would be doing that, and I would say to them, "Hey, my eyes are up here."
That'd be worth it just for that. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. Well, what about your time capsule?
Well, you can't take this one from me, Bob, because I
All
go
right.
first.
All right. Okay.
Can't believe. It is page 4. So page 4, because basically Cap says to him, "You're Craven the Hunter. Spider-Man has mentioned you," meaning this is the first time we're meeting. So to me, the time we're two significant characters, right? I mean, I think Craven
Mm-hmm.
Hunter is hell. Hey, they made a movie about him, right? I would say he's a significant character. Here is a time where the two significant characters met for the very first time. I think that is time capsule worthy.
Interesting. I like that. I like that. You know what's odd? One is I think it's about time we see Kraven and Captain America go at it. Second thing is, what's with the name Kraven? The word means completely lacking in courage.
Does it?
The word
Oh,
Craven with a
yeah.
C. Yeah, and here we have Craven, who is really portrayed as something quite the opposite of that. So interesting
Hmm.
flip of the word. Hmm.
It is interesting. Well, what's going in your time capsule?
Well, I think I got to go with the fact that this is Mark Waid's last run on Captain America. Perhaps his last run ever. Oh, yes. Yes, it
I'm not
is.
accepting that.
Well, that's what I'm
You
going
can't.
with.
No, you can't. First of all, it
So
was
I'm
10. It
going.
was no. I'm sorry. It was 10 issues.
Is it his last run?
It's his last run. No,
Okay.
because he has another story arc after this called Out of Time. So
Mm-hmm.
this was Home of the Brave. So his last story arc, his last run would have been the next one. You can't say
I can. I
no.
can and
You
I
have to
will.
pivot. You have
I'm
to
not
pivot.
pivoting. I'm not pivoting. That's what I'm going with. That this is the last run of Mark Waid on Captain America. That's all there is to it, man. Okay, first time. All right, I got to go with it. First time Cap has ever fought a jaguar.
That you know of.
Well, that we know of, that's been shown, right?
Uh huh.
So I don't recall him ever fighting a jaguar before. Maybe a cheetah, maybe a leopard, but certainly never Panthera onca.
Hmm.
How's that?
That's great. I do think, I do think, yeah, I do remember when he was fighting a cheetah. Um, Remember how he got out of that one?
I have no recollection of that.
He had a bag of Cheetos. Apparently, that's their
That's their
weakness.
preferred food. Yeah.
Yeah,
Was the cheetah's name Chester by chance?
something
Chester
like that.
Cheater.
Yeah, he was a cool cat.
Ah,
All right, Bob, we're going to end with a couple of questions from our listeners. Kind of a new segment that we're trying to do here. And we had recently, we had, I guess, it was an episode with Alana Smith. Um, and James Foley asks on YouTube, what is wrong with a laugh emoji? I'm a very happy person. Nothing in general is wrong with a laugh emoji. Laugh
yeah.
emojis are great, especially when they're used for something meant to be funny. However, if it's a reply to something not meant to be funny, not cool.
Yeah. See, the difference is, are you laughing with somebody or are you laughing at them? Right?
Mm.
If you're laughing
Yeah.
with them, perfectly appropriate. So it's all in the intent, I think, right? If you're laughing at them, then just move on, right? Or come right out and say what you want to say. But, the laughing at emoji is just really the cowardly way out.
Passive aggressive.
It is. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Would Cap do that?
No, you wouldn't
Heck
do that.
no. Heck no. And Bob, just for the record, are you mostly laughing at me or with me?
Well, a little bit of both.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. All right. So another question came from, speaking of Gino Ames, one of our newest members on our Buy Me a Coffee. He asks the question, what is favorite Cap moment not in his own title? Bob, do you got one?
I do not, Rick. And I'll tell you, look, I'm just not good at this sort of thing. You put me on the spot like that, and first of all, I haven't read a lot outside of Cap. I don't read a lot of other titles. I don't even read the Avengers, quite honestly. And so that makes it hard for me right off the bat. But the second thing is, I don't have a memory for that sort of thing. So I really honestly can't think of one.
Hmm. God. I probably have a few. I'm gonna go with Secret Wars. Um, to me, young Rick, when Secret Wars first came out, and seeing this Captain America character, who is not the most powerful,
Mhm.
all of a sudden everybody there, Thor, Hulk, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, they all, Spider-Man, they all just defer to Captain America.
Mm.
And that to me was like, whoa, this guy, this guy is pretty cool. But my favorite part, perhaps, in Secret Wars was, I think, in issue 12 when Doom steals the power from the Beyonder and he's all powerful, and Captain America goes to confront him in his headquarters, Doom little headquarters, and he comes at him and he comes charging at him, and Doom just obliterates him with his power, and then Cap, poop, pops back up and just starts charging at him again, and Doom's like, "What's going on?" And he obliterates him again, and Cap's just like, "Doop," and it was just Steve Rogers' force of will was like, "No,
Hmm.
you will not obliterate me." Now, obviously, there's some of this is in Victor Von Doom's subconscious where he's doubting himself and he's bringing Steve back, and but why?
Hmm.
Well, it's because Steve's a badass,
Right.
and he
Yeah.
respects, even Doctor Doom respects
Yeah.
Steve Rogers. So to me, that may be one of my
Hmm.
favorite moments of Steve Rogers outside of his own series.
Good choices. Yeah, I like that. Makes me interested to go back and read. I haven't read those in a long time, so I have no recollection, but makes me want to go back and read them.
Absolutely. I would suggest that maybe we would consider it for a one day. We'd do a long tail story to
Hmm.
do Secret Wars. I just can't do that many voices, Bob. I mean I can. I don't wanna.
Yeah, right.
I
We'll
mean, all those villains and
put a
all
pin
those
in it for now.
heroes, and
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
ah, I'm exhausted thinking about it.
Right. Right. I do. I would like to hear you do now. So
Yeah.
work on that.
Um, all right. So again, next episode, make sure you come back um, on Sunday. Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern time. Go to our YouTube channel and watch us live as we discuss the Thunderbolts movie. And you can join the live chat. You can go in there and ask questions, make comments. We will read those as we go through, and it's always fun doing a live interaction, and we're looking forward to it. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's unpredictable,
That's true.
right? So
Yeah,
let's enjoy that unpredictability.
I'm looking forward to the movie too.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited about that. I got a little thing for Red Guardian. I got to be honest.
Is it the
So
beer belly?
it is the beer belly, but a little simpatico with the beer belly. But I just like the way Harbor plays him. It's got a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
wit and just a genuine good naturedness.
Mm. I got a little thing for the White Widow.
Just because of her personality.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
she's got a really nice personality.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Understood. Understood.
100%. I love the accent too.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Bob. As always, it's been fun wrapping cap with you.
It has. I can't wait till next week, Rick.
All right. If you don't mind, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you're on YouTube right now, please give us that thumbs up. And we love your comments. So make sure you leave comments, whether it's on the YouTube channel, on the Facebook page, and keep those questions coming. We will be happy to answer those questions at the end of another episode. We love the 5-star reviews on Apple. So, as always, thank you for listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.